Hello retro gaming and home arcade enthusiasts, it's Michael B. Thank you so very much for watching. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you my latest pinball machine pickup. It's the 1987 Bally Williams Classic, based on the popular role-playing game adventure series, Dungeons & Dragons. So that's right guys, in today's video we're going to be talking about my latest pinball machine pickup. That's why they call me Mikey 2 Pins now. The 1987 Bally Williams release, Dungeons & Dragons. But before we get into that, I want to say thank you so very much for checking out the video. Guys, I always appreciate the support. If this is your first time to the channel, you like what you see, go ahead, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, all that YouTube stuff. Well, like I mentioned in the intro, Michael B has not one, but two pinball machines, as Dungeons & Dragons from Bally Williams in 1987 now sits right next to my Godzilla Premium. This is a table that, I'm going to be honest, was not on my radar at all. I had never played it before I actually picked it up from the guy for the very first time when I saw it in his house. And the reason why I was so enamored with it was because my buddy P-Dubs talked about this and said this was one of his most desired and sought after pinball tables. He is one of my closest friends. I think he has excellent opinions on pinball, so I took his recommendation to heart. And when I saw it at the guy's house who had it, I mentioned to him that my buddy P-Dubs was looking for one of these, and it was so cool. So I tried it out, and I started to see what P-Dubs was talking about when it came to this table. Now, for those of you who don't know, I ended up getting this because of a botched arcade pickup. I actually went to the guy's house to pick up my Tron arcade, took that home. Unfortunately, Tron had more issues than both me and the seller thought, so he agreed to take it back, and we worked out a deal that he would take back Tron, and I would pay a little bit extra to get Dungeons & Dragons. And I have to say, so far, that deal, that trade, has worked out pretty well so far. First off, we've got to take a look at the machine, and of course, it's beautiful. I mean, you have eyes, right? The really cool dynamic of the brick walls and the castle surrounding the pinball machine just looks amazing. The blue brick, the Dungeons & Dragons logo, it may be simple, but it's super effective. Then, of course, we have the back glass, and the back glass, well, it's a little primitive compared to what you're used to with 90s and more modern pinball machines, because you just have that solitary back glass, and then instead of the DMD, we have the alphanumeric or the scoreboards underneath. So it's relatively simple, but it gets the job done. One thing you may notice about the back glass is it seems to have a hotspot right in the middle of the back glass, and that's because of a very unique cost-cutting measure that Bally Williams were trying to imply back in the late 80s. So if you open it up here, you will see that inside the machine, instead of a couple lights, there's really only one light bulb dead center smack in the middle of this board, and that's all that's illuminating the back glass. Another thing I really want to bring up, and what makes this particular pickup very special, is the fact that this Dungeons & Dragons machine actually comes with the topper in working order. Sure, you can go out and find a Dungeons & Dragons pinball machine. I think there was about 2,000 made, but how many of them still have the toppers, and how cool this thing is. So what the topper does is, of course, there's cool images on it and stuff like that, and it continues the dungeon castle motif going up the side of the cabinet. But of course, it has a dragon image right in the center that will light up at certain times during play. And then for some reason, it has these giant fluorescent headlights that are going to shine directly in your eyes when action's happening. To be honest, it's a little bit seizure-inducing. But having that topper with the pinball machine makes this pickup so much more special. So I did talk about the side art a little while ago, and when I talked about the side art, you may have noticed something weird with the cabinet. This cabinet has another cost-saving measure. I mentioned earlier the one light bulb in behind the back glass, but if you actually take a look at this cabinet, it has a unique feature where the pinball machine isn't shaped like a traditional pinball machine and has this slanted up edge, which causes the machine to have two different size legs actually attached. So the front has one size and the back has an additional size. And when I found out why they did this, why they made it this shape, it blew my mind. It was actually to save on wood costs. So this is a cost-cutting measure and a very weird pinball design decision. Another thing I really want to talk about with the art and design on this table, and this will get into gameplay a little bit too, is the playfield itself. This is such a cool friggin' playfield. Look at the art. It's iconic for those 80s action adventure. Like if you look at the art on the Golden Axe Revenge of Death Adder cab, it'll be very similar to what you see on the playfield for Dungeons and Dragons. Really well done, really colorful. And thank God the lights that are in the machine are all working. The guy who sold me the cab had already done an LED mod, so I didn't have to get my hands dirty. With that out of the way, let's talk about gameplay. And I'm going to be honest with you guys here. This is not a game for the novice pinball player. Like, admittedly, I am myself. This is a challenging game and kind of hard to score big points on traditionally. So the game has this really cool dynamic where basically you're trying to hit basically targets on the field, and each time you hit specific targets and down one, you're actually trying to take away the flame from the dragon. You're trying to lessen his flame. So each time that you knock these targets, you're getting additional flames taken off the board. You can see the lights decreasing. That will then actually add to your bonus at the end of your ball. So you can score a bunch of points at the end of the bonus. Like if you get to 2 times flame, you usually score over 400,000 points, but you got to work for it and knock down all the points. It also has 2 cool features on it. There is one lock for multi-ball where you actually knock it up and you trap the warrior, and then there's a wizard lock on the other side, which is actually important as well because you have to knock down that wizard lock in order to get to the 3 bonus drop targets on the right side. The other cool dynamic is the plunger actually launches the ball up a path that goes up this sliding slope, and if it goes through, it comes down a ramp and you get 15,000 points, or it will initiate one of the multi-balls. But the trick is you want to try to get it to go all the way up to the ramp, touch the coil, and then come back down the exact same way. That's how you get your big skill shot of 100,000 points, and you can do this in-game as well. One of the other aspects that makes this game so difficult is the fact that it actually doesn't have traditional out lanes and in lanes. So what it does is it just has a set of out lanes, and the pinball machine actually has 2 sets of flipper buttons on each side. So one set controls the flippers, while the other controls what's called the magic save, which is a metal coil that comes up that will basically divert the ball from going down the out lane back to your flipper, and these are used with times intervals. So right at the beginning, it automatically works depending on if you're going down the out lanes, but as gameplay goes on, those cut out, and you're responsible for actually triggering the button yourself. So you're not playing pinball where it's just 2 buttons on the side. You've actually got to work with a little bit of 2-finger action to make yourself successful at this game, and it will take some adjustment. Believe me, again, for a novice pinball player, it's hard enough just keeping the ball in action and trying to learn how to nudge, but then having to operate this magic save will definitely up your skill level immensely. Last but not least, I've got to say, this pinball machine has one of the dopest soundtracks I have ever heard in my whole entire life. Like, whoever basically sat down to program these MIDI files or whatever the music is certainly understood the assignment, because this is some of the best pinball music I have ever heard. If you ever get a chance, go check it out. You can hear it playing in the background right now. I'll give you a little sample of it. Man, this theme really thumps. Well, guys, that's Bally Williams Dungeons and Dragons. It's interesting because I talked to a lot of guys and I told them I picked up this machine, and a lot of people have just said, I've never played it before. But, I mean, it's such an interesting and cool table. It's got a really cool rule set. That topper is really hard to come by, and it looks cool. The machine overall is awesome. Unfortunately, This is going to be a temporary addition to my game room. In fact, I'm in the process of listing it right now. I'm going to be selling it so I can make room and funds to get ready for potential Stranger Things re-release. So really excited to have this for a short while and experience the table. Know what my buddy P-Dubs was talking about when he said this was one of his most requested and sought after pinball tables of all time. I definitely see where that's coming from. But, I mean, the heart wants what the heart wants, and at the end of the day, I feel Godzilla needs to be situated right next to a Stern Stranger Things machine as well. Anyways, guys, let me know in the comments, what do you think of Dungeons & Dragons, the Bally Williams release from 1987? Do you think it's a cool table? Have you ever played it? Let me know your thoughts on it. And, you know, give me some shit. If you think I'm crazy for letting this one go, you know, let me know that as well. Anyways, guys, thank you so very much for watching. This is Michael B. the Game Genie, and I'll talk to you next time.